Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F124 launch season. This is the Friday tier, the Belgian and Qatar Grand Prix. Let's get it underway. We're in qualifying, and one-shot qualifying is currently what we'll be using for this. The format is one-shot qualifying for race 1. Race 1, 35% distance race, and that grid for that race then determines the order for the next one. So Qatar will have the order according to wherever everybody finishes for the Belgian Grand Prix. Currently, Heish is the man on top and presumes immediately taking that away as their home Grand Prix. This would be a fairy tale if they can get the job done. Frantic retiring from qualifying already. We're going to get some data up on the screen if we can. Let's look at this and all of that, and we'll have a look at the telemetry as well for a little bit of a change. Why not? Presume still continues to lead through Puon, and the grip is going to be a lot different compared to what we're used to in previous games. There has been a brand new patch just a few moments ago. I haven't been able to drive it myself personally, but according to what I've heard, it's not that much different, but it's still an improvement. Hopefully we can have some good racing here today. And through the final sector, Presume still doesn't seem to be really contested at the moment. Heish isn't that far away. That's Nifojan going to be retiring from the session as well to start at the back of the pack completely. Heish is not going to be able to challenge, but they all of a sudden get ahead as they go through Blotchmont. Pursuit still there. They're neck and neck. Who's going to get pole position as we go round the final few corners into the bus stop? We exit. Pursuit, will he get pole? He does get pole position in his home circuit. 2 tenths in the end. Heish must have made a mistake on the exit there in the bus stop. What a shame for him. But that is the first ever kick Sauber that we have seen go across the line. How about that? And Pursuit takes pole position at the home circuit. Heischer in P2 and Zingy not that far away in P3. Then we've got Peanuts frantic with the retirement. So did Nifo, and then DSQing with Becken and Tom Rayner in the Haas and the Ferrari. Everyone going for slightly different teams. We've got 8 different teams right here. The only ones we're missing is Red Bull, and I've completely forgotten the other team. I'm going to get bitten for that. Mercedes, there you go. So yeah, everyone's going to have a free pit box. We'll see you in a second for the race. Alrighty, we are back underway with the formation lap for the Belgian Grand Prix, which is almost on your screen. And it is Pursuit lining up on pole with the medium tyre currently he's sat on. Now, yes, it is a 35% distance race, so it's a little bit of a different one. Not many people have too much experience of these races. It was the old format that used to be used in F1 esports a while ago, which we didn't have access to. Then as soon as we did have access, no one really used it. We're going to give it a shot here right now and see how it goes. Of course, we've got 2 races to get through this evening. Qatar will be a little bit later on, immediately after 10 minutes in fact. will be the break in between. Currently Pursoon, medium, so is Heischler, Zingy and Peanuts also. The only soft tail runners are Frantic and Nifo, with Becken and Tom Rob also on that medium tyre. It's gonna be a very straightforward, soft, medium or medium soft strategy. There's probably not going to be any hards in. Damage is available, or enabled, not available. You don't want to choose to have damage. Damage is enabled, so it could be that there are some problems inflicted, and then you might have to get that extra pit stop, but we'll see. Just going to quickly do something a second. I do apologise for the delay. It won't take us a moment, and then we'll be back on the screens again, and that's all good to go. Now, Pursoon, can he hold on? He's had pace massively at the end of the last game. He's not had as much time in the game as Zingy has. I don't know about Heischler. I think he maybe had a little bit more than Pursoon. But obviously Pursoon still being very, very quick, setting the Australia hot lap lap time that we did for the tutorial. So make sure you go and check that out if you haven't already. And that proves that he can be very quick, setting a very top time. But a lot of these guys have done so. I'm told that Peanuts is trying no line, so I'm not sure if they're doing that today or not, but we'll see how it goes for them, of course, and I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine. They are a very talented driver, more than they give themselves credit for. We are warming up for the final moments and lining up on the grid. Here comes the Belgian Grand Prix. Hold your breath and clench your butt cheeks. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are away. Pursoon gets away well. Heisch will not be able to get there, but Zingy tries to shove his nose in on the inside. He does eventually get there. He's going to bully his way through, and he will lead momentarily. Is Pursoon going to try and slide behind? He wants to, but he can't, because Heischler's going to try and make it too wide, and they're going to actually come up ahead. It's side by side up Eau Rouge, and I think Pursoon's managed to get in front just about. What a camera angle from the game right there. Here comes Heischler. Will he be able to get Zingy as well in the V-Cup? No, he will not. He's still side by side. Pursoon's got the better line. He slightly goes off the circuit and will not be able to contest. That is going to be the Williams of Nifojan trying to stay in front of Frantic, who was right behind, but now he's being contested by Peanuts. Peanuts to the outside line, trying to give him all the space possible to the Alpine. Becken sitting right behind as well, looking to see if they can maybe get something, but for now they will just have to wait. And now a perfect exit here for Frantic. He does let go though. He does let go. Doesn't want to contest it. Interestingly, goes off the circuit and loses all the positions. And is at the back of the pack now. We've got Tom Brainer go to the outside line. Frantic retiring from the race early on, interestingly. I'm not entirely sure what was happening there, but it is what it is. Zingy leads the way. Pursoon 6 tenths behind, 5 tenths behind, more or less. And then Heischler still sitting right behind as well. We've actually got Nipper, who's very close to the back of Heischler. He might even be challenging for a move in a little bit if he can. He's got that fresher tyre. You can see now the flashing light on the back does mean, yes, they're either low on ERS or they're harvesting. That was a big rear lock up there for Nifoyan, but luckily, very held. I say luckily, skillfully, very held. He managed to control that one quite nicely and gets away with it. DRS is already available for everyone on this lap, so we'll get a perfect opportunity here for Pursoon to make an overtake attempt on Zingy already this early on, and everyone currently is in DRS. Peanuts is very close to losing it. Now there it is for Pursoon, and he's going to swoop into the lead, I assume. He's going to be slightly contested, as that is going to be Zingy trying to go slightly defensive, but it's not going to be much more than that for him. He will just have to let that one be, and everyone is in a very, very tight train at the moment. We do have Becken, who's a little bit further behind, but they're in front of Peanuts, and they're going to try and see if they can catch up to the pack ahead. Pursoon leads the way. Once again, I say once again, for the first time this race, of course, Zingy managed to get that on the exit of turn one. and has led more or less ever since, except from now. Pursuit makes that move on the Kemmel Straight, the best place to really make an overtake, the safest place to make an overtake, unless you get to look on when it can be a little bit difficult, but yet to really see the ins and outs of that corner in this game compared to last. If you maybe had a bit of contact into that chicane, you will send yourselves absolutely flying, spinning motion I should say, but maybe this time it might be a little bit better, the grip might be a little bit easier, and it definitely looks like a completely different game, but it is what we've got. And Heish really working to use the maximum of the harvesting modes that you can get in this game now, and he needs to be careful because Niffer's very close to the back of him. He doesn't want to be in trouble, and he is in trouble. He makes a mistake. He is down the order. Niffer's not going to get a DRS as Heichler. I don't know what happened there. He just lost the car on braking, it looks like, and Niffer's going to be absolutely furious because now they can't compete. Zingy has the DRS. They're going to have a little bit of a train going on. Niffer's going to have to push with all their might here to be able to get that DRS again, but that is very, very close to contact, and I think they're very lucky that they don't have any damage from that one. Niffer will be able to close up quite nicely on that soft tyre, but it's definitely a bit of a hurdle that they didn't want to have to tackle this early on in the Grand Prix. Lap 3 out of 15 is a long old circuit, so there are slightly less laps compared to most circuits, but still 15 is enough of a good old race. That is going to be Niffer making a big mistake, keeping the car, and that's going to be Heichler getting a 3-second time penalty, but also taking that position back, and they've got a lot of work to do to try and catch up here to Passoon and Zingy, who are now all of a sudden split off ahead and are going to be relaxing on their own. I say relaxing on their own, it's probably not going to be quite that, is it? Now, we've got everything on board right now. Do need to make sure we change the camera angles for the race tomorrow, of course, but just experimenting with the camera angles, to be honest. Having a quick look at them all right now. That is unfortunately Tom Brainer way at the back, as they must have had an issue. They don't have any damage, but they are quite far off the field, unfortunately. Becken, though, is very close to the back of the pack right here. Zingy goes for a fastest lap as they lead the way, and Passoon is probably going to try and make a little bit of an overtake attempt in a few moments' time. Peanuts has got a little bit of work to do. I think they might have unfortunately just about lost DRS this time around, unless they can find something magic. They're just going to have to try and hope that these cars in front do fight each other. Here we go with the top two. ERS is being used. DRS is being used. Not going to move out the way, just going to sit on the racing line, but they're not exactly going to fight each other this time at all. That's going to be Becken and Nifferyan getting in front of Heichler, and Heichler now loses 2 positions. Becken gains 2, and Niffer stays where they are for now. Becken, can they show their pace? They've been mega quick in the later stages of the F1.5 Championship. They've won a few F1 races themselves as well, been very competitive. Of course, it was Monza where they were P2 and had the potential to maybe hunt down Passoon. Passoon probably had a little bit more in the bag to give, of course, his saving tyres, but still, Becken was there, and that's what matters really. So he definitely has a lot of potential here. Can he try and lug the car around and catch up to the guys ahead? I'm not entirely sure. Now, that is going to be Niffer making a mistake and unfortunately dropping behind Heichler. They'll still get DRS range if they stay as they are now. They will not. Peanuts will probably be able to get through here on the run, but I think they're just going to miss out maybe, as they will stay behind. And that is another rear lock there for Niffer, unfortunately just struggling on the brakes, and Peanuts makes a bit of contact, but hopefully he's got away with that one. I hope he doesn't have damage. I assume he wouldn't get damage from that, but we will find out in a few moments' time. Of course, the top two lead the way as they have been many times in their journey, and that is a massive toe there from Zingy, a massive advantage already quite early on up Eau Rouge, and Passoon couldn't really do much about it. Not that he wanted to do anything about it on lap 5. These guys are going to be thinking about the strategy situation. The tyres can be so dynamic in this game. You can save them, You can use them. They can go a lot longer distances or a lot less distance depending on how you drive the car, and we will find out how that goes for the drivers very, very shortly, of course. Cars ain't looking too bad in this game. I think the top two, graphic-wise, look quite nice. The Haas does actually look quite good as well. Eichler in the McLaren, that is a lovely car. And then we've got the Aston Martin, also looking quite nice as it always does. And of course the best car on the grid, the Williams. Now, that is a 3-second, unfortunately, for Tom, as he makes a big mistake at Pouhon and loses the car. Don't worry, mate. This is the launch season. There is nothing at stake. There's a driver championship, but no team's championship. It is first come, first serve. So tomorrow and of course next weekend, you might not see the same drivers in the same teams. It's very likely that they try to get in the same team, but they will probably not be in the same cars. We'll see how that one goes, of course, for everyone. But the top two are running. That is going to be Nifian into the pit lane and going for the early pit stop here. So they're on that softer tyre. They can go to the end of the Grand Prix here on that medium. I do apologise for a big bit of lag. Not really much I can do at the moment. I will be right back. Alrighty, apologies for the delay, we're back. Hopefully we don't have too many more issues, although it does seem to be that we are quite low on the frames. But that is Becken with a time penalty now as well. In the meantime, since we were gone, we stayed on board with the top two, as they are pretty close on the circuit. We do have these guys right here as well on the circuit, but Nifian made that pit stop. Now 4 seconds behind Peanuts, who they were fairly close to not too long ago. But Peanuts does have a bit of damage, unfortunately, so yeah, they must have had quite a big issue. And that is why Nifian is so close, but he's on that fresh tyre, the cold tyre, who will now be starting to warm up, and we'll see how this goes for them in a few moments time, of course. And that is Bassoon once again leading the pair up front right now. Eichler looking to the outside line, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to have to back off, and Becken holds on just about very nicely, very tidily done. It's only the mid-race, but they're looking to try and make pit stops, and that's why he wants to be in front. You get a little bit of an advantage if you can be at front, just a psychological advantage, a decision advantage. It really does help, and it is worth the shot. Unless you want to try and see what your opposition is doing, maybe it might be a chance to be able to back off. We will be back in a second. Sorry for the delay. We are back. No pit stops for Becken or Eichler or Bassoon or Zingy. They stay as they are. We're on lap 8 out of 15. So just over the halfway mark now. And, well, according to Nifian's pit stop window, they, of course, went for quite an early pit stop. I think it was lap 5. They went onto a fresh set of tyres on the start, or the end of lap 4, start of lap 5, I think it was, if I'm correct in saying. So we'll see how that one goes. Hudson makes an early overtake here on the Haas driver. Now, if that is the case, we'll see in maybe 2 laps time a pit stop onto the soft tyre is very possible. It is a long lap as well, of course, to be said, so you do have a bit more of an advantage. You would say only 4 laps. It's not really much, but 4 laps around Belgium is a lot different to 4 laps around Austria. Just to make sure I'm clarifying that, we're not racing at Austria for this championship. We are going to be racing at Great Britain, Italy next weekend. Just a reference for the short circuits, of course, out there, which is Austria, Brazil, maybe Netherlands as well, and Monaco, I guess you could consider. Now, these guys are so close together. Who will make the call to go into the pit lane? No time penalties for either driver. And whoa, that's Zingy into the pit lane, and he made a very late call. That's not ideal. He's going to know what he did there. Oh dearie me. Pursoon is going to have 1 lap pressure tyres. Zingy will be able to get them warmed up and get the undercut, but that's not exactly what they wanted to do. Heischler and Becken is going into the pit lane as well, reacting to the 6-time champion. It is a very safe call to react to Zingy. He just seems to know what he's doing when it comes to these things. It's pretty impressive to see, of course. Now, you could see that was a very, very close together. Williams with a McLaren, of course. These guys are running nice and closely, but Heisch's going to try and make that move immediately. Very close to pull across to the side of them there. They single file now into the Le Chicom chicane. I want to remix the name of that then. And they continue on their merry way. Now, Becken, he didn't get the advantage, of course, of being ahead, and he's actually lost out quite a lot there, so I think there maybe is a little bit more of an issue than just being behind to have this gap. I will say he was extending the pit lane exit, but you are allowed to extend the pit lane exit in this league. It's just only if it's safe to do so, of course. The pit lane entry, slightly different rules. Now, Nifoyan did get themselves a time penalty. This circuit is so hard on time penalties, and now, yes, we do have a lot more gravel patches around this circuit, but also the curbs are a lot less chunky, so it is easier to go over these track limits. If you really want to push it, you'll lose a lot of time, but you will also extend those track limits, and the game is the game, and you will get yourself that penalty. Now, Pursoon into the pit lane, he gets that soft tyre on. Zingy, I think he's going to be long gone, you know. I think they're going to be long gone. Sure, Pursoon has a shorter line or distance to the first corner with that inside line, but yep, that's going to be Zingy gone. Will he get DRS though, Pursoon? He might have just done it perfectly. Might have just done it perfectly. Let's watch on board, see if that DRS does flick open or not. And it does. That is incredible. We've got no ERS left, but they do have DRS to try and help them out here. And that is exactly perfect. That's what they need. Something that's very new to everybody in this game is fuel, and DRS is going to be very useful to save fuel, whether we want it to be saved or not. Many people don't really know. It's such an early point in the game only being released last week. I'm sure a few people do know about how to fuel up the car, but a lot of people probably won't be, so we'll have pretty standard amounts or heavy cars currently running potentially. But as we go later into the game cycle, the cars get lighter and lighter as people learn the limits of what they can do with a car. Once again, massive apologies for the connection issues. I do apologise. These guys close together. Becken slowly catching up. Just needs a little bit more and he'll be on his way for a nice little bit of DRS. these two continue on their way as well. Becken gets himself another 3-second time penalty, unfortunately, as they try to catch up to Nifayan up in front. These guys are continuing to battle. These two, along with Peanuts, the only ones to not have time penalties. 7/10 is the gap that Zingy has. So, quite a distance. Not going to be able to overtake on this lap, but they will get a very, very useful advantage, of course. Now, I am going to quickly pause on this again, and we will see. We'll see this battle. No, we're going to go on board with the top two, and we'll be back in a moment's time. Alrighty, we're back, and hopefully that's better. Rather interestingly, as soon as I stop talking, the internet gets a lot better, and then when I start talking again, the internet decides it's going to absolutely do itself over. But I think it's okay. Hopefully what I've done is a little bit better. Other than that, I have no idea what to do. But it does look like it's slightly better than it was before. These two are even closer than they ever were. Becken got past Nifayan on that fresher, soft tyre, of course, but they've got a little bit of a gap if they want to try and get to Heischler now. Time penalty-wise, of course, 6 seconds for both Heischler and Becken, so those guys are racing for track position. Nifayan's looking more for a kind of mutual thing, so 2.5 seconds more or less is the gap that Nifo has to Heischler. They need to try and work together here with Becken and hope that Becken's able to pick up the pace so they can try and get themselves a podium. That would be awesome to see if they could get that job done. And this will be the first podium of the F1 24 LSI campaign. It's going to be an interesting one. Who will be the first winner, though? Will Zingy be able to make it work, as he would ever so much like to do so? The first ever win in the F1 24 game for LSI, that would be absolutely perfect. Pursoon wants to just win their home Grand Prix, and the first race of the game would be a little bit of a bragging right to add to that, of course. Up the hill. A little bit of a bottoming out situation. That's a hell of a lag. That's a DNF, then a bit of a lag, but it's too late into the race to get a safety car, as unfortunately Tom Brainerd does retire at No Name Corner. Zingy sending it into Lecom, looking like it's going to spin, but you just don't in this game. He's just gripping up perfectly, driving the car as they should be. Absolutely crazy. Obviously, pad versus wheel, very different situations. The game is designed more towards a pad player, although that doesn't mean it's necessarily an advantage. It just means that there are different exploits that you can't really use, or be exposed to, I should say, compared to a wheel player, where you can be exposed to different exploits, whether they be good exploits or bad ones. Now, we've got a hell of a race on the hands for the final 2 laps of the Grand Prix right here. We've also got Niffayan and Becken so close together. Niffa really wants to try and hold on to Heischler, but unfortunately that 3-second gap is way too big. Zingy does lose the position as Bassoon goes through immediately already, and yeah, he wants that DRS. I don't know what happened there. We went off for a moment. I hope he didn't brake for DRS, because that would be a little bit silly. But it is what it is. Bassoon is ahead for now. DRS is going to be available to Zingy as we reach this lap. That is Niffayan making the move ahead of Becken as Becken goes into the pit lane. I'm not entirely what for, but they are going either for fresh softs to go for the fastest lap, or I don't quite know. I don't know if they got damage from something. I'll have a quick look to see if they do get a front wing change or not. They will not get a front wing change, and we will see Bassoon hold on to the lead from Zingy. Zingy obviously not going to be going for an overtake in this race. I don't see why they would have done so. They will just sit there happily behind so they can get DRS on that final lap. Will Bassoon be able to find something else, pull it out the bag, and lead the Grand Prix on the final lap of the Grand Prix to win it, of course, on track? Now, we will find out. We've got basically half a lap to go to get to that final lap. Now, energy is going to be harvested like mad by both of these drivers. Bassoon knows that Zingy's not going to make that overtake just yet, so they can save all of their energy if they want to. And Zingy's also going to be doing exactly the same thing, as they want to try and get the best advantage they can over Zingy, over Bassoon when they go for that overtake, of course. So it's all going to be very, very interesting. That is for sure. Into the final chicane now. This is what we've been waiting for. Who's going to get it? Zingy right behind, gets DRS for the first time in the lap. He's just going to sit behind and continues to sit behind. Bassoon will take the racing line, focus on the exit, on the hairpin for turn 1, and now they go to Eau Rouge. Zingy's so close though. He's going to get a massive toe. Just needs to nail the Eau Rouge section and he'll be absolutely fine. But he's planned it horribly. He loses the run, goes to the inside. There's contact between the two. That wasn't the best driving there from Zingy, I have to say. It wasn't ideal, but he makes it work. He gets in front. Bassoon is right behind though, very close. They're going to have a hell of a tow as they get to the final part of the circuit, and we go to Blanchimont, of course. Zingy does make the move, but makes a big mistake into the hairpin, the downhill hairpin, into No Name. He has a bit more of an advantage, but that was a little bit treacherous. First of all, as they went up the hill, just times this toe a little bit wrong, had to slow down, then pulled to the right, and it got a little bit tricky. I think that was probably more the handling and the grip, just not knowing how much the car's going to turn, rather than an intentional kind of bit of contact. I don't think they would ever try and do that in that situation. Now, Bassoon, the final opportunity. This is for the race win. DRS is not available, but ERS is going to be used to the absolute maximum. He is catching. Will he catch at a good time? Now, is he going to do exactly what Zingy did and catch at the worst time? And there's going to be a bit of a push. That's going to be Zingy getting a 3-second time penalty. Zingy is going to try and hold on. They're going to try and push him off the circuit. It's all a little bit argy-bargy between the two. It's going to be Bassoon who will lead in the end and win the Belgian Grand Prix. It got a very bit difficult right there. That was a bit crazy. Heischler's going to get their podium, and Niffayan will get that P4 in the end. Becken on that fresh soft tyre. Will they get the fastest lap? We'll find out in a moment's time, and see if they can get themselves that extra point in the championship, as I don't believe they were thinking they would be able to finish ahead of Niffayan with that time penalty. But no, they're not going to go for it in the end. They did get it anyway, actually, so fair enough to them. Peanuts is going to try it as well. They will finish in 6th place. That was very, very, very close there for the Belgian Grand Prix. Zingy's usually very strong at Qatar. We didn't see them race last time around in LSI, so they're going to be looking to try and win that Grand Prix and get a bit more of a redemption after that one. It got so close, and it was all very interesting. The attempts from both drivers were fierce, but it managed to play out without any severe damage to anyone's front wing. So that's all that matters. Nevayan gets the driver of the day, so that is fair enough indeed. Now, Pursoon takes the win, Zingy in P2, Heischler P3, then we got Nevo, Beck and Peanuts, Tom Rob, and Frantic with, of course, the bottom two DNFing from the race. We'll go through the race director just in case if we need to. And then we will go through the pit stop section. We will be back in about 10 minutes time, plus or minus a few minutes, for the Qatar Grand Prix.